As morning light filtered into the small apartment in the Boston suburbs, Rebecca Harrison was already awake. Her face bore the traces of exhaustion from 3 years of single motherhood, but it was her daily routine to prepare for the day before her son Noah woke up. While quietly brewing coffee in the kitchen, she mentally organized her work schedule for the day. 3 freelance writing article deadlines, an afternoon doctor's appointment, evening medication time. Every moment revolved around her son. "Morning, Mama." A small voice came from the bedroom. 6-year-old Noah had lost much of his former energy since being diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia 2 years ago, but he still gave Rebecca a smile every morning. She quickly set down her coffee cup and went to her son. "Good morning, Noah. How are you feeling today?" Rebecca placed her hand on her son's forehead, checking for fever. Since his leukemia treatment began, she had become extraordinarily sensitive to any changes in his condition. Noah's hair had been lost to chemotherapy, but recently fine hair had begun to grow back. "I'm okay." "Hospital today?" "Yes, but in the afternoon, so we can spend the morning together." Noah nodded slightly. The hospital treatments were difficult, but he never complained. Rebecca was saved daily by her son's courage. While making breakfast, Rebecca remembered the divorce 3 years ago. Her ex-husband Michael had disappeared the moment Noah's illness was discovered. He left a note saying, "I can't take on any more responsibility." Since then, there had been no contact from him. Child support payments stopped too, leaving Rebecca to support her son alone. Financial hardship was becoming more serious by the day. While insurance covered some of Noah's medical expenses, the monthly burden was still heavy, and her freelance income alone wasn't enough. She had asked her parents for help several times, but their response was always the same. "This is the path you chose, isn't it? You decided to become a single mother." Her mother Diane coldly said these words. Her father George was equally unforgiving with his "don't be a burden" attitude. Her sister Ashley was completely dismissive, saying, "I have my own life to live." Her family's cold attitude became even worse after Noah's illness was discovered. When Rebecca contacted them about Noah's condition, responses were rare. It seemed their social standing mattered more than their grandson's illness. Ashley especially was steadily building her career as a manager at an IT company and appeared to fear that having a sick nephew would affect her promotion prospects. Still, Rebecca didn't give up. For her son, she continued to fight with everything she had. When Noah was suffering in the middle of the night, she stayed by his side all night. When treatment side effects killed his appetite, she created foods that were easier for him to eat. Between work, she also participated in support groups for parents of children with the same illness. The apartment walls were covered with Noah's drawings. Pictures of family drawn from his hospital bed, imaginary animals, rainbows. Every drawing reflected her son's pure heart. To protect her son's smile, Rebecca never showed her own exhaustion or anxiety. "Mama, when I get better, can we visit Grandma and Grandpa?" Noah would sometimes ask this. Rebecca always answered of course, but harbored complex feelings inside. Did the grandparents want to see their grandson? Or were they avoiding their sick grandchild? After breakfast, Rebecca sat on the sofa with Noah and read his favorite picture book. His small hand wrapped around her arm as he leaned against her with relief. This small happiness was more precious to Rebecca than anything else. Even without family support or understanding from society, she didn't want anyone to take away her time with her son. As the time for the afternoon hospital visit approached, Rebecca helped her son prepare. Noah took his medicine with practiced ease and packed his favorite stuffed animal in his small backpack. The hospital was never a pleasant place, but her son never complained about going. Before leaving the apartment, Rebecca checked her face in the mirror. The exhaustion couldn't be hidden, but she wanted to always be a strong mother in front of her son. Noah could only depend on her. And she could only depend on Noah. They were a small family of just 2, but she was still happy. On a cold November afternoon with rain soaking the streets of Boston, Rebecca was in the pediatric ward of Massachusetts General Hospital with her son Noah. She was waiting in a small examination room to hear the results of routine tests. Noah was quietly turning pages of a picture book in the chair next to her, but he looked paler than usual. For the past week, his appetite had dropped further, and he had been developing fevers more frequently at night. Dr. Chen entered the examination room with a grave expression. The 50-something pediatric hematology oncologist had been Noah's attending physician for 2 years of treatment. Usually a gentle, smiling doctor, today his expression was different. "I need to discuss the test results with you." Rebecca's heart pounded. Noah looked up from his picture book and gazed anxiously at his mother. Noah's white blood cell count has increased rapidly. His response to current treatment has significantly declined, and unfortunately, I must say the disease has progressed. The doctor's words weighed heavily on Rebecca's heart. Throughout 2 years of battling the illness, her son's condition had its ups and downs, but this was the first time she'd heard such serious news. "What does that mean?" Rebecca's voice trembled. "The current chemotherapy protocol can no longer be expected to produce effective results. We need to consider other treatment options." Dr. Chen continued his explanation, carefully choosing his words. Bone marrow transplant was an option, but in Noah's current condition, it was uncertain whether he could withstand the surgery. There were new experimental treatments available, but their certainty was also low. "Mama, am I getting worse?" Noah's small voice cut through the heavy air of the examination room. Rebecca gripped her son's hand and tried to smile. "It's okay, Noah. The doctor is thinking of the best treatment for you." However, Dr. Chen's next words shattered Rebecca's hope. "Ms. Harrison, we need to have a realistic conversation. Please treasure your time with family. And prepare yourself." Rebecca desperately tried not to cry in front of her son, but the moment she understood the doctor's meaning, she felt as if the world had gone dark. That night, Rebecca cried alone in the apartment kitchen. Noah had fallen asleep early, exhausted. She read through the materials the doctor had given her repeatedly, but none contained hopeful content. The experimental treatment presented as the last option had only a 15% success rate. The next morning, Rebecca faced a difficult decision. Whether to try the final treatment. The side effects would be severe, placing further burden on Noah's body. But if they did nothing, she decided to discuss it with her son. "Noah, let's have an important talk." Her son looked at his mother while eating breakfast cereal. Rebecca didn't know how to explain this to a 6-year-old child. "There's a new treatment available. But it might be harder than what we've done so far." "I'll try hard, Mama. Because I want to stay with you." Noah's pure words made Rebecca's chest tighten. Her son didn't fully understand his situation, but he was trying to support his mother. The final treatment began. The experimental anti-cancer drug administration severely punished Noah's small body. Nausea, fever, pain throughout his body. Despite his suffering, her son never complained. Rebecca stayed by his side 24 hours a day, continuing to hold her son's hand. 2 weeks later, the test results came in. No treatment effect was observed. Moreover, the white blood cell count had increased further. Dr. Chen apologetically shook his head. "Medical options are now limited." That night, Noah said in a small voice, "Mama, I want to see Grandma." Rebecca's heart felt like it would break. Her son wanted to see his grandparents. Since becoming ill, the family had never once come to visit. Phone updates were always met with cold responses. "I'll call Grandma." Rebecca dialed her parents' number with trembling hands. Her mother Diane answered. "Mom, Noah's condition has worsened. Can you come visit?" "Oh, Rebecca. But I'm busy this week. I also have preparations for Ashley's promotion celebration. Please. Noah wants to see Grandma. I'll think about it next week. But don't expect too much." The phone was coldly disconnected. Rebecca leaned against the wall and sighed deeply. Next she called her father George. "Dad, please. Please come see Noah. Rebecca, you understand. Work is busy. And hospitals have so many germs. But Noah is. I'll think about it when I have time later. Her father had a similar reaction. Finally, she contacted her sister Ashley. Ashley, about Noah. Sorry, but I'm incredibly busy right now. Working overtime every day for next month's promotion. I don't have time to go to hospitals. But Noah is. Kids recover quickly, don't they? Don't make such a big deal out of it. Rebecca was speechless at Ashley's indifferent attitude. Over the next few days, Noah's condition worsened further. He could barely eat and slept for longer periods. Yet when he woke up, he still smiled at Rebecca. Mama, is Grandma coming? I'm sure she will. Rebecca had no choice but to lie. The hospital nurses worried about Rebecca and her son's situation. Head nurse Sarah especially came to check on them frequently. Don't you have family? There are circumstances. Rebecca couldn't explain in detail. But you don't need to carry everything alone. At Sarah's kind words, Rebecca cried for the first time. Someone other than family cared so much about them. In the first week of December, Dr. Chin called Rebecca. Ms. Harrison, please prepare yourself. Probably not much longer remains. Rebecca leaned against the wall. That time had finally come. How long? We think several days to about a week. That night, Rebecca kept watch at Noah's bedside all night. Her son's breathing was shallow, and he occasionally showed expressions of pain. Still, his grip on his mother's hand was weak but definitely there. Mama, thank you. Noah whispered softly. Rebecca kissed her son's forehead. On the morning of December 10th, Noah's condition suddenly changed. His breathing had become shallow since before dawn, and his consciousness remained unclear. Rebecca sat by her son's bedside holding his hand, quietly watching over him. As the monitor's sound echoed in the hospital room, she recalled the doctor's words. There wasn't much time left. Head nurse Sarah quietly entered the room. Her expression was kind yet serious. Have you contacted your family? Rebecca nodded. Last night, she had made emergency calls to all family members. However, the responses were predictably cold. At 9 a.m., Rebecca called her parents' house again. Her mother Diane answered. Mom, please. Noah is in critical condition. Can you let him see you one last time? On the other end of the phone, Diane sighed. Rebecca, that's terrible. But today we have Ashley's promotion celebration dinner. We have reservations and invited relatives too. But Noah is. I'll check on him later. Today is impossible. The phone was hung up unilaterally. Rebecca set down the receiver with trembling hands. Was dinner more important than her grandson's life? Next she called her father George. Dad, please. Please come see Noah. There isn't much time left. Rebecca, I understand your feelings, but I have an important meeting today. The company's future depends on it. Tomorrow I can. Tomorrow might be too late. You're being dramatic. Children have resilience. Her father also hung up in the same way. Rebecca made her final call with desperate feelings. To her sister Ashley. Ashley, this is an emergency. Noah is in critical condition. Can you come to the hospital right now? From the other end of the phone, Ashley's shrill voice could be heard. Sister, today is my promotion celebration dinner. I have reservations at the Hilton Hotel restaurant. I can't cancel. But Noah might die. Die? That's so dramatic. Besides, today is the most important day of my life. I was promoted to IT department manager. You understand, right? Tears overflowed from Rebecca's eyes. Please, Ashley. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. Really, please come. I won't regret anything. Taking care of sick children is your responsibility, sister. I have my own life. Besides, hospitals are bad luck. On a commemorative day like today. Ashley, please, Rebecca pleaded while crying. He's your nephew. Blood related. So what? I didn't choose this. You became a single mother on your own and are struggling on your own. Don't drag me into it. Rebecca was speechless at Ashley's cruel words. Besides, tonight's dinner has company executives coming. It's an important night for my career. I don't want it ruined by a sick nephew. The phone was disconnected. Rebecca leaned against the hospital room wall and sobbed. Not a single family member would attend her son's final moments. Mama. In a weak voice, Noah opened his eyes. Rebecca quickly returned to her son's side. Noah, you're awake? Where's Grandma? Rebecca couldn't answer her son's question. How could she explain to a 6-year-old child why the family wasn't coming? Everyone is busy. Did I do something bad? No, Noah. You're the best boy in the world. Rebecca hugged her son. Noah's body was much smaller and lighter than before. Even into the afternoon, there was no contact from family. Rebecca considered making another call but gave up. Their answer wouldn't change. Hospital staff frequently came to check on them. Nurse Sarah brought Rebecca warm coffee during her work breaks. Are you okay, alone? Yes, Noah and I have always managed together, just the two of us. But being alone at a time like this. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes too. She had witnessed many children's final moments, but cases where no family came were rare. Around 6 p.m., Noah's breathing became even shallower. Rebecca held her son's hand and began singing a lullaby. On a night when we can see the stars, let's walk together, just Mama and you. Noah smiled faintly. Mama, thank you. I was happy being with you. Me too, Noah. Having you made Mama happy. At 8 p.m., just as Ashley's promotion celebration dinner was beginning, Noah quietly passed away. In Rebecca's arms, peacefully as if falling asleep. Noah. Rebecca called her son's name, but there was no longer any response. The small chest stopped rising and falling, and the monitor's sound changed. Nurse Sarah and the doctor rushed into the room, but there was nothing more that could be done. Rebecca continued to hold her son. Noah's face was peaceful, freed from pain. She couldn't bring herself to contact the family. What could she say now to people who hadn't attended her son's final moments? That night, Rebecca spent her last time with her son at the hospital. Noah's hands had grown cold, but she didn't want to let go. For 6 years, she had walked alongside these small hands. The next morning, Rebecca called her parents' house with a heavy heart. Her mother Diane answered. Mom, Noah passed away last night. There was a brief silence on the other end of the phone. I see, that's unfortunate. But it's good that he didn't suffer. Diane's voice held no emotion. As if it were someone else's business. When will the funeral be? I'm planning for next Saturday. I understand. I'll check my schedule. It was a non-committal response. She made similar calls to her father and Ashley, but the reactions were similar. Her father said, if work permits, and Ashley replied that she was busy with new job duties. On the day of the funeral, only Rebecca, hospital staff, and a few neighbors gathered at the small church. Not a single family member came. Nurse Sarah took time off work to attend. Noah was loved. Rebecca cried while reading the eulogy. The family didn't come, but her son was definitely loved. Surrounded by her love, the kindness of hospital staff, and the love of others fighting the same illness. In the coffin, Noah held the last family picture he had drawn against his chest. The drawing showed Rebecca and Noah, along with his grandparents and aunt. For her son, family had always been precious. Until the end, he loved them. 1 month after Noah's funeral, on a cold January afternoon, Rebecca was spending quiet time in her apartment. She couldn't get used to life without her son, but she had important work to do. She continued working on compiling the detailed diary she had kept during 2 years of fighting illness with Noah into a book. On the living room table were proof copies sent by the publisher. The book was titled The Little Warrior, The Last 2 Years with My Son. The cover featured the family drawing that Noah had created. Rebecca wanted to preserve her son's record for the world, to support families in similar circumstances, and to let many people know about her son's courage. The book honestly recorded Noah's disease progression, treatment details, and above all, her family's responses. Rebecca wrote only facts matter-of-factly. She didn't make emotional criticisms. She simply recorded accurately what happened. Everything from the day of diagnosis to the final moment was detailed. Around 3 p.m., the apartment doorbell rang. Rebecca was surprised. Since the funeral, there had been no contact from family. When she opened the door, her mother Diane, father George, and sister Ashley were standing there. "Oh, Rebecca," Diane said condescendingly. "Long time no see. How are you doing?" The three entered the apartment uninvited. Ashley wore an expensive brand coat, showing off her post-promotion prosperity. "You're having money troubles, aren't you?" George said bluntly. Medical expenses and funeral costs must have been expensive. Rebecca didn't answer. She couldn't understand what they had come for now. "We're family too, so we might help you out a little," Diane continued patronizingly. "But of course not unconditionally. From now on, be more realistic and live a normal life." When Ashley looked around the living room, she noticed the pile of books on the table. "What's this? Did you buy a bunch of books?" "No," Rebecca answered quietly. "These are books I wrote." "Wrote?" Ashley picked up one book. She frowned as she read the title on the cover. "The Little Warrior, The Last 2 Years with My Son?" "What's this, about Noah?" "That's right." Diane and George also picked up books. The three looked at each other. "You didn't write anything strange, did you?" Diane said in a wary tone. Ashley began turning pages. At first she seemed uninterested, but as she read on, her complexion changed. "Wait, this." She pointed to a specific page. There, the exchange on Noah's final day was accurately recorded. Ashley's prioritizing her promotion celebration dinner and not coming to see her dying nephew was written in detail, including the conversation content. "Today is my promotion celebration dinner. I can't cancel," Ashley read her own words aloud. "Taking care of sick children is your responsibility, sister." Ashley's face grew pale. Diane and George also hurriedly began reading the relevant sections. "This is," George said in a trembling voice. "This isn't factual." "It's all fact, Dad," Rebecca answered quietly. "The dates, times, conversation content, everything is accurately recorded. As a record of fighting illness with Noah." "But this makes us look like cold-blooded monsters," Diane protested. "I only wrote facts. How readers judge is up to them." Ashley continued turning pages. From the discovery of the illness to the end, the family's words and actions were detailed chronologically. Refusing financial assistance, not visiting, the cold response on the final day, everything was recorded in sequence. "You're not planning to publish this, are you?" Ashley's voice was strained. "It's already published," Rebecca answered. "It'll be in bookstores nationwide next week." The three were speechless. "What did you say?" Diane screamed. "Without even consulting us?" "Consulting?" Rebecca showed emotion for the first time. "I consulted when Noah was dying. But nobody came. What is there to consult about now?" Ashley held the book with trembling hands while checking the publisher's name. It was a major publishing house. "How many did they print?" "The first edition is 50,000 copies. But a second printing has already been decided. It's planned for 100,000 copies." George sat down heavily in a chair. 100,000 copies. "Also, there's talk of a movie adaptation," Rebecca continued. "A Hollywood producer has shown interest. As an inspiring story about pediatric cancer and family." Ashley's face turned completely pale. "A movie about us too?" If they adapt the facts as they are for film, naturally you would all appear. At that moment, the phone rang. When Rebecca answered, it was a TV station producer. "Ms. Harrison, sorry to bother you when you're busy. Are you familiar with the CBS program 60 Minutes? We'd like to do a feature about your book." Rebecca looked around at her family while answering. "Yes, I'll consider it. Specifically, we want to cover the reality for families with children who have pediatric cancer and the need for social support. Of course, we'll give maximum consideration to your family's privacy." After hanging up, the three stared at Rebecca in shock. "You're planning to appear on TV too?" Diane asked in a trembling voice. "I haven't decided yet. But if it's to support families in similar circumstances." Ashley suddenly stood up. "Sister, this will destroy my life. My position at work will be in jeopardy. I just got promoted." "Your position?" Rebecca answered calmly. "When Noah was dying, you only thought about your own position. But this is different. I was sad too. I just expressed it differently." "Expressed it? You chose dinner over your nephew's final moments. That's expression?" George interrupted. "Rebecca, can't you stop the publication? It's too late. Yesterday, pre-orders started on Amazon too. Several thousand orders have already come in." At that moment, Ashley's cell phone rang. It was from her company. She answered the phone, but her complexion grew even worse. "Yes, I understand. I'll explain tomorrow." After hanging up, Ashley sat down weakly in a chair. "It's already starting," she murmured. That was the HR department. They said there were some inquiries. Rebecca looked out the window while saying, "Noah loved you all until the end. He drew family pictures and wanted to see everyone. But you abandoned him." "We didn't abandon," Diane weakly protested. "Then what do you call choosing dinners and work over a dying child?" The three couldn't answer. Rebecca picked up one of the books and opened to the page with Noah's photo. "This book is Noah's record. How brave he was, how much he loved his family. And it's also a record of how the family acted." Rebecca stood up. "I have nothing more to say to you. Please leave." The three stood up silently. At the door, Ashley turned around. "Sister, don't you have any regrets?" Rebecca smiled. "Regrets? That's what you should have. I only kept my promise to my son. The promise to tell his story to the world." After the three left, Rebecca picked up the book again. Noah's drawing on the cover seemed to be smiling at her. Her son's story was about to reach many people's hearts. 3 weeks after Rebecca's book appeared in bookstores nationwide, Ashley's office was flooded daily with protest calls and emails. The angry voices from readers who had read the book showed no signs of subsiding, and the IT company's HR department was forced to hold an emergency response meeting. "Ms. Montgomery, this is having a serious impact on the company's image." At the HR director's stern voice, Ashley could only look down, unable to respond. Just 2 months after her promotion, she faced effective demotion. Her manager title was stripped away, and she was ordered to transfer to another department as a regular employee. "I was sad too," Ashley weakly defended herself. "It was just that work. You should have learned that there are things more important than work." Diane and George also couldn't bear the stares from neighbors and acquaintances. The social status they had built over many years in Boston's upscale Beacon Hill neighborhood crumbled with one book. At church, at the club, people began avoiding them. Those people abandoned their grandson. They left a dying child alone for a dinner party. Whispers followed them. Diane became afraid to go out, and George had to consider early retirement. Meanwhile, Rebecca received letters and calls from across the country. Words of gratitude from families in similar circumstances, encouraging voices, and offers of support. "Your book saved me." A letter from a Minnesota mother with a son who had pediatric cancer bore tear stains. "I've also been abandoned by family. but reading your and Noah's story made me feel I could keep going alone. Rebecca carefully read each letter. She realized that her son's story was reaching many people's hearts. 2 months after publication, the book had surpassed 300,000 copies and ranked high on bestseller lists. Rebecca decided to donate all royalties to pediatric cancer support organizations. The Noah Harrison Foundation. The foundation bearing her son's name targeted single mothers with children who had pediatric cancer and families who couldn't receive family support. It planned to provide not only medical expense assistance but also psychological support. Rebecca held a press conference at Boston Children's Hospital. In a room at the hospital where her son had once received treatment, she spoke quietly. "This foundation embodies what my son Noah taught me. That true family isn't just blood relations. Those who stay by your side during the most difficult times, those who remain with you until the end, they are true family." The conference was attended by doctors and nurses who had been involved in Noah's treatment. Head nurse Sarah said through tears, "Noah was special to us too. His courage and his mother's love supported us medical staff as well." Afterward, Rebecca deepened her relationships with other mothers in similar circumstances whom she had met at the hospital. Though not blood-related, there were women who shared the same pain and supported each other. They were Rebecca's new family. Once a month, they gathered to share updates on their situations. Mothers who had lost children, mothers still supporting children in treatment, mothers walking new lives with recovered children. Though in different situations, they understood each other deeply. "Thanks to Noah, we were able to meet," one group member said. Rebecca smiled. Even after death, her son was connecting many people. 6 months later, The Little Warrior was confirmed for film adaptation, with a famous Hollywood actress set to play Rebecca. Part of the movie's proceeds would also be donated to the Noah Harrison Foundation. Rebecca reported to her son at his grave, "Noah, your story is saving so many people. Everyone understands the true meaning of a family that you taught me." The gravestone was engraved with the family picture Noah had drawn last. However, now Rebecca's definition of family had changed. Her son had taught her that heart connections were far more important than blood relations. On a warm spring afternoon, Rebecca was having a picnic in the park with her new family. Mothers in similar circumstances and their children, hospital staff. Among the echoing laughter, she looked up at the sky. "Noah, are you watching? This is real family." Sunlight streaming through breaks in the clouds felt like her son's smile. Rebecca was truly happy. What she had lost was great, but what she had gained was even more valuable. She had the memory of her beloved son and a future with a new family bound by true bonds.